Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, sometimes technology is just something else, isn't it? I'm Romany Thresher, and joining me today is Etienne Brewer from Famous Bean Cafe. So we had a couple of technical glitches. I do apologize. Hello, everyone. Say hello, and if you are around there and still hanging around, let us know. But today we are going to be chatting about business and selecting the right franchise for your business, the business model. So just to give you a bit of background about Etienne, Etienne developed and launched the Famous Bean Cafe franchise model with years of experience owning and managing coffee cafes and restaurants. He realized that a new standard of coffee cafe needed to be launched that served the original exceptional coffee and quality of freshly made food. Etienne has more than 25 years in the industry and is not only passionate about coffee, but about all things business and strategies and implementing his knowledge to the success of all involved. So, good afternoon, Etienne, and how are you today?
Romany, I'm good. I'm just glad we're on air eventually. We battled to get there, but now we're there.
Yeah, it took us a while.
Yeah,
So today we're going to be
yeah.
talking about coffee and business. And I'm curious, when you say a new standard of coffee cafe, what does that mean?
I think what we've all realized is going through this last couple of months is that it's tough times lying ahead, and we've been through tough times, and I think tough times is lying ahead. So what we did as a group, we started to think outside the box and said to ourselves, if we want to be in the coffee industry, you've got to move away from liquor in the first place, which is, it's so heartbreaking to say that, but you've got to do that if you want to survive. Uh,
Okay.
that you don't work double shifts when you don't work on the liquor side. We developed a side of Famous Bean in the culture and the model of you basically come in, you buy your food, which is on display, you buy your coffee, which we make sure that it's a good coffee, and then you leave. You don't have to sit down. We've got the sit down option because basically what we know is we're going to move back to sitting down eventually. People already are taking off their masks. They sit down, they have something to eat, and it becomes easier and easier. So we're going to move back to tables. But for now, for the time being, there's still a lot of fear, and people are hesitant. So if you wanted to stay the same as a couple of months ago, it wouldn't have worked. Um, all my stores is opened again. Not one is closed. And I think the main reason why that happened is because we moved away from the model of just a sit down coffee shop. We had to move away. And I think that made it for us. That was the big story why we actually threw this. And now with the reselling of stores, we also selling the coronavirus beating type of store. How do we beat this virus? How do we beat this in the business world? And it is by remodeling your business. If you don't remodel, you're going to just stay exactly the same.
Hmm.
That's what
I
I want
guess
to
one has
say
to always,
about.
sorry, I was just saying, one always has to adapt in business. If you don't move with the times and change with the latest trends, then it's easy to kind of fall behind and fall away.
It's basically in our business, in the franchise business, it's adapt or die. If you don't adapt now and do it soon and fast and aggressive, um, you're not going to make it. And we're playing alongside the big boys out there in the industry. And what we've seen is that the big guys are actually battling more than we do. It's difficult for them with their infrastructure, the whole body that they've got to carry with them, which they had in their model since their incision. And it's so heartbreaking to see how these big guys battle to get back on their feet again. The big restaurants, with their liquor sections, with their amount of people and feet that they must have in their stores to make them successful. That doesn't work now. And there isn't a way that you can make it work because it's not allowed to work. So we've got to think differently. I must tell you, it's so difficult out there. If you want to start a new business, you go to a bank and you ask for money. There's no banks outside there that's going to help you. Nobody wants to listen to you. If you want to start up a store, start some new investment, talk to your family, talk to friends, talk to different models, find different people, and get a network and get yourself in business, because that's the only way to make money. That's the only way to keep our country afloat at this stage, is by finding new models and new networks and new ways of doing it. Yeah.
Sure. That's interesting. And what advice would you give somebody that's selecting? I mean, how would they select the right franchise business for themselves?
I think it's a very interesting question, because one of the things I always say, you must do what you love to do. You must like coffee. You must feel like, I'm someone that's a little bit of a psychiatrist, and you must be a bit psyche as well, because you're talking to people every day and you talk to them about personal things, their personal hazards, their personal difficulties. They want advice from you, you give them advice, they give you advice. And it's a bit of a talk show in a coffee shop. But then you might find that there's people that do find that they want to go into the fast food industry, where things happen fast in a coffee shop. That's a different kettle of fish altogether. But you must like it. You must be able to be on your feet from the morning to the night. You must be able to work hard. And that's in a coffee shop as well. But I'm talking about other different models, where you go into a pizza business, where you've got to go into a fish and chips business. Um, it's totally a different approach of each and every one of these models, franchises that's out there. So if you choose a franchise, make sure you love the concept, the idea. You must like it to be there. When you get in your car in the morning and you drive to the shop, you must say to yourself, oh, geez, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to this. But if you get in your car and you say to yourself, oh, geez, another day, how am I going to get through it? Sell the franchise, get out of it and do something else. You must love your business. You must love it dearly. Yeah.
That is true, especially if you got to do it every day and all day. And I think a lot of people love the idea of a fast food business or a coffee type of business, but it's not always not necessary that they're cut out to do it, because there's a lot of elements that go into. It's not just about the coffee and the chat. It's also about setting up the stores, managing the stores, managing the stock, how you're going to get the stock where. And making sure that everything is working efficiently. And then you've got to deal with staff at the same time
Mm.
within your coffee shop.
You see, one of the things that I did before I started my first store, I spent about 3 years writing the model of what the franchise should look like, what each and every person in the store should do, because we're selling a turnkey solution. So whatever you buy, we tell you in dummy language, you put the key in the door, you turn it left, and the door will open. Then you've got your opening procedure. What must you do when you open the store? Then you've got your closing procedure. If you haven't got that all tied up in a nice little bundle, which is the model and the package of the franchise, it's not going to work. Um, my belief of a good franchise is not to sell franchises. My belief is to sell a franchise and be a friend of that person for the years to come, because it's the service afterwards that counts and not the selling of the store.
Yes.
That's part of what you're doing, but you've got to look after your franchisees, and if you can't do it, you're not gonna make it. You must be able to walk the walk. with each and every franchisee that buys from you, and you must be able to help them and support them wherever they have a problem. Because basically, some of the people that comes to you, they haven't got a clue. You've got to train them. You've got to make sure through the manuals that you supply, through the training that you supply, that the people that you are taking with you is going to make money. You're going to spread wealth. And the only way to spread wealth is to make sure that they know exactly what they're doing. They must be excited about it. They must see they can make money, and they must have a return on investment, because it must be a better investment than in the bank. As you know now, if you put money in the bank, you're going to get 3% on your money. So eventually you're going to pay some tax, and then you're going to get nothing out of the bank, out of saving up that money. But if you invest it in a franchise, your payday is coming, because it's the best time ever in South Africa to buy a franchise is now, because the price is as low as possible. Well, it's as low as it can go, and your landlords are talking friendly to you. And I think your landlords is going to go. They've went into a different mode. They want to talk to you. They want to see how can they help you survive. So your landlords are very helpful to give you a rent where you can actually survive. So talk to your landlord. If you haven't, do it tomorrow morning. Go out there, talk to your landlord, tell him this is my model, this is where I break even. This is where I'm running into problems. My rent is too high, sir. Please help me. And normally they do. And I think that's the difference in the times we are in now. But that is the reason why I'm saying it's a very good time to buy. If you want to buy a business, buy it now, because you're going to buy it at the best price ever. And your return is also going to be the best ever when you sell it, when we have greeted this virus and it's gone over the hills and gone. Yeah.
That is interesting. I mean, you mentioned two things there, which now I don't feel so bad because I've been working on some project for quite a few years. And I think to myself, is it ever going to come to fruition? So now I don't feel so bad because I think you said 3 years it took you to write that. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And if anybody's out there, let us know if you enjoy coffee, if coffee, franchising and coffee is good for you. Eve is saying that's what she loves about franchises. You have that support behind you. And that is something that I've noticed with a lot of franchise businesses that I've been interviewing of late, is the amount of support versus where you work for yourself or work in a small business. You don't have that team or moral support where you can brainstorm and get ideas together and help each other. And the franchisors are there to give you that support, especially during this time, to help make sure if you can't speak to the landlord, can you speak to your franchisor? Can you ask them to help you out in that regard? So, things like that could be very helpful, especially if you can rely on their experience and expertise in most of those fields.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges during this whole COVID-19 lockdown? What has it been for Famous Bean? How have you managed to survive? I mean, like you said, you adapted, but what are the things that you implemented that supported your franchisees?
Romani, I think there's a couple of things that if you don't do it, if you don't do things the right way, you're going to stumble and it's going to be difficult. Because when lockdown came, it hurt everybody immediately. And then the ask was great because government said, listen, we're going to help you guys. We're going to pay out monies, but you must be registered. So if you're in a business and your personnel records weren't sorted out, you couldn't have paid your personnel. So there was no way or no hope for you to go through the period and still survive. So it was very obvious to me that when lockdown came, everything must be in place in double fast time. If it wasn't in place, or you had to get it in place to make sure that you apply and that you can work according to what government is asking you. And now at this stage, social distancing, the things that you must do to be safe, it's there, you must do it, and you must make the public feel that when they visit your business, that they are safe, that they feel safe. It's different than it was ever before. I mean, where have you seen people standing at the door, taking your temperature, spraying your hands with some spray, and it's all just out of the ordinary. But
Mm.
now it becomes the norm. It's the norm now. Now we've got to do it. But I think that was the big shock, the culture shock, that you actually realize that now you're going to sit in a situation where this is going to be like this for a long time. It's not going to change quickly.
No, it isn't. And that's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a scary thought at the same time that it's not going to change overnight. Very, very true. I was just thinking about, so tell me, with franchise opportunities, what kind of training does Famous Bean offer for franchisees who are interested in looking at your business opportunity?
What we basically offer is we offer, as I said before, we offer a turnkey solution. So
Okay.
you buy a fully functional store. So when you come into the store, all your staff has been appointed for you,
Okay.
with your blessing as well. And then each and every staff member is being trained according to a manual. He gets that manual, and his training is being given to him on his equipment that he's working on in store. So it's not off-site that we train on-site. And when that training is finished, that person writes an exam. If it's a waiter, he writes an exam about his menu. How well does he know his menu? How well does he understand his menu? How well does he understand different products that's been there for special events and occasions? And that's there for the baristas. That's there for the operations manual. You get it for your kitchen, for your chef. Each and every different position has got a training manual, and got to work according to that training manual. That's the training we give for 2 weeks on site, and then a week testing after that. So it's 3 weeks in total. But as I say to each and every franchisee, then we don't leave. It's not that we then walk out of the store. Then our friendship only starts, because now it becomes a situation where you've got to phone me and say, I've got a problem. There's something wrong in my kitchen. I can't get it right. My baking doesn't come out the way it's supposed to. And then you've got to visit and help and sort out. Yeah.
And besides someone having a passion for coffee and wanting to work with people, is there any background experience that someone needs? What type of person or person would suit your business in particular, besides them having a passion?
Well, we would look at somebody as a whole person, as somebody that's interested in more than just what he's doing. It must be somebody that's got his eye on, where am I going next? Am I going to work in this restaurant as a waiter for the rest of my life? Or am I going to be somebody different in the next couple of years? Can I grow to the manager's position? Uh, is there a structure in the store where I can see where I fit into the structure? And after 2 years, will I be ready to be a supervisor, or either an assistant manager, or either a second manager or a third manager, all depending on what the store demands. But but that is the whole thing. You want people with spirit in them, and you want people with a desire to grow in the business and not being just what they are. No ambition. So ambition must be there from the beginning. And that's, well, it's part of passion, but it's also part of who that is. Who's that person? Where does he want to go? And we make sure in our interviews that we go that route.
So I'm hearing that it would also help people. So someone doesn't necessarily have to just come in and say, well, look, I want to be a franchisee, I want to buy a franchise business. They could literally come in as someone who works in the store so that they can learn all aspects of the business and then, like you said, grow into a managerial position.
We would love to see the growth through our stores, in the sense of that you've got one store and then you owe the second one. We see it with our hospital stores, that the owner would have one store and then he would go to another store. We see that there's some of the personnel that's growing, like the store would have a very good manager, and the owner would say to you, listen, my next store, I want to help my manager to buy the store, and I want him to buy me out because I want him to have his own store. And that's the route to go, because that's part of our vision in Famous Bean, is to make people famous, make them feel that they can grow to the extent where they can become their own self. If you want store, you can grow through Famous Bean to that level.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience before we close this meeting, before we close this chat? Oh, we seem to have lost. um, we seem to have lost Etienne there for a moment. So I was just wondering.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's all good. It's all good.
I just had to pick something up.
So I was just wondering, before we close our chat today.
I would.
Carry on.
Yes. I would just like to say to each and every one out there, if you've got a passion for business, if you want to do your own thing, you must do it. It's the right time to do it now. It feels like, oh my head, what's happening around me? Look at all the negative things that's on Facebook and all over the show. There's a lot of people talking about negative things. In business, it's not necessarily the way it should be. There's a lot of ways and means of doing things, and you must really reach out there and talk to people, build a network. And one of the things I want to say is phone FASA. FASA can add such a lot to the industry and to our model of business. FASA actually helped us to the extent where, when you speak to somebody, one of the first things you say is, we also FASA registered. And then you tell them about the advantages of belonging to FASA, that you tap into a whole new lot of information, so talk FASA if you're interested in a franchise. Talk to them about the franchise. Talk to FASA about how they deal with franchises. And I think that's one of the reasons FASA is there. So yes, I would let people read up as much as possible, and they must make sure that they do the right thing and have a passion for what they want to do. Yeah.
I like what you shared there. Thank you for sharing that. And it's also very important to do your research and your background and your due diligence, no matter what type of business you're buying into. And also look at it from your own personal self-experience. Is it a good fit for you? Is it not a good fit for you? Can you do this 24/7, 7 days a week? Can you live it, breathe it, and love it? And so that's what I'm going to end off with today. And if you'd like to get hold of Etienne Brewer or any of his team at Famous Bean Cafe, we will be popping a link in the comment box below. And that's it all for us today. If you like this, please share it with everybody that you know. Give us a like, give us a share. And yes, join us every Tuesday where we will be talking about business and franchising in general. On closing, just to remind you that FASA is a non-profit organization that protects, lobbies, and promotes and develops ethical franchising across all sectors of South Africa. FASA offers membership to both existing franchisors and franchisees who supports and runs ethical businesses. If you'd like to know more about FASA, you can visit them at www.fasa.org.za. fasa.co.za. Thank you for joining us today, and we do apologize for all the technical glitches, but that's the wonderful world of the internet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye.
Thank you, Romany. Thanks a lot. Eh? Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.